With your hosts, Andrew Romanella.
I don't think I'm good enough in this spot based on my own personal mental health, so I can't continue. The first problem is with the owner of the Carolina Panthers. Okay, you're an idiot. Seriously, you're an idiot. What's going on, everybody? Welcome in to another edition of the Rome Show here on 12ouncesports.com. Broadcast live on Dingo TV channel 217. I'm your host, Andrew Romanella. I got you for the next 30 minutes or so. This is the Rome Show every day, 7 a.m. You know the deal. If you miss any part of this show, you can watch the rerun on Dingo TV channel 217 at noon, or find the podcast, the Rome Show podcast, wherever you listen to your podcast. If you are an avid podcast subscriber, then I am sorry for last week's performance. As everybody knows that watched the show, hopefully that everyone that watches the show or everyone that was locked in on the Rome Show last week saw that I was on location. And when Andrew is on location, that generally means he is vacationing. On location, started in Long Beach Island, ended in Cape May, New Jersey. So we spanned a lot of the state of New Jersey, but it caused me not to put up the podcast. It doesn't matter, though, because you can watch the replay anywhere on 12ouncesports.com, or you can go to Dingo TV channel 217. So it's pretty much easy either way. We got a lot to talk about today because it's that moment, ladies and gentlemen. It's the moment we've been waiting for. That moment in the fall when college football has started. The NFL is winding down preseason, getting ready for week one. Major League Baseball is exciting again. It seems to be that there's a buzz. It doesn't feel like the dog days of summer anymore. And the playoff race is really beginning to heat up. We just came off a Fire Olympics, and you're in that. Is it summer still? Is it about to be fall? We know school is starting. It has started for others. It's that time. And usually when this time period happens, you are full steam ahead. The next 5 months, sports. And I truly believe that started with the Olympics this year. You know, we got rather lucky in this 2024 because it's an Olympics year, that it felt like we really got to roll the sports from like the middle of July. And everyone knows what I'm talking about, that moment in the like July 7th, when the only thing being played right now is Major League Baseball. And no disrespect to the baseball coaches in the room. I am one. It just gets a little boring when baseball's the only sport. It's just the truth. You know, I'm not necessarily speaking for myself. I'm speaking for the people. I think a lot of people out there feel that way. So we've hit it. We've hit that moment, and it's going to be a fun Rome Show. We're going to talk Little League Baseball. We're going to talk college baseball. We're going to talk, college football. We're going to talk NFL football. We're going to get into some tight ends in fantasy, maybe a sleeper pick or two, and then, of course, your daily bananas, which have been rolling on this show. Maybe I'm better at it than when I'm not on location and in this beautiful studio. I have the fun part about this studio, though, is I feel comfortable, and then usually I'm good at hitting the button. So I'm going to hit this button, tell you got to follow us, The Rome Show 1, Instagram, Twitter, X, Facebook, TikTok. That is The Rome Show, just like the show, and then the number 1 right at the end there. You can get that any social media. Follow us there. You got to follow 12 Ounce Sports on social media as well. Our fearless leader has been dominating the social media. You might have seen the Romo Shuffle to enter the show the other day. That's what we're trying to create here at 12 Ounce Sports. We appreciate the support. You know that. All right, let's get into this show from a deeper standpoint. We're going to start, ladies and gentlemen, in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. Why, may you ask? Williamsport, Pennsylvania, because that was the site of the Little League World Series. We start there. Yesterday, the team from Florida won the Little League World Series on a throwing era down the first base line. It was a very disappointing end to a phenomenal little league for the Chinese Taipei team. Chinese Taipei, one of the greatest little league dynasties in the history of time, was seeking its 18th Little League World Series title, while I believe the United States of America was seeking maybe its 30th country title. Now, the difference there is we have 50 states, way bigger, a lot more people to potentially represent our country, win that Little League title, and get us that championship. But nonetheless, the point being that Chinese Taipei in the history of the Little League World Series has been a great dominant team. Florida, I think, was in its fourth Little League World Series final without a title. So a bunt gets hit, which is a beautiful thing because bunting is the aspect of baseball that people believe does not exist anymore. Bunt happens. Catcher swing, looks to go throw the ball down the first base line, the pitcher, and there's nobody there at first base, and the game goes to Florida. Here's what it sounded like.
They bunt Alexander with the runner at second base, Norton. He gets it down. Oh, it's perfect. It's Blackberry's going to win the Little League World Series championship.
And that was it right there. That's exactly what it sounded like. Simple bunt down the first base line. Pitcher spun to throw it to first base, and Florida has a 2-1 World Series victory in the Little League World Series. Let me just finish this thought real quick. Oh, on Chinese Taipei, by the way, 17-time champions, but that was from 1969 to 1996. So that was the first championship they were searching in the last 30 years. So tough on that. The only thing, I like the Little League World Series. I've been a roller coaster in my lifetime with the Little League World Series. But the only thing it's just tough watching the kids, man. Like they're 10, 11, 12. Like they're on national television. This is devastating stuff for them if they lose these games. And it's cool. I think at the end of the day, there's more positive than good, but I still can never get used to the kid crying on the field, or, the pure disappointment that you see, or the heartbreak, or some of the coaches, as we talked about show last week, with the coach crushing Aaron Judge. And how stupid that was from the coach from Staten Island and the Yankees response. So every year this Little League World Series thing ends, and I judge it to how much do I love this? And at the end of the day, I think it's great for the game, and I think it is helping grow the game. But I'm sorry, I just can never get used to the poor look on some of these kids' faces. Like that poor 12-year-old. The pitcher, the pitching is cojones off. It's a 1-1 game in extra innings, and a bunt goes down the line. He's just trying to make a play for his team, and the first baseman was also trying to make a play for his team. And that's a tough pill to swallow on national television at 11 or 12 years old. So that's just the dynamic of that World Series that I think is very interesting and also a little scary for some of those kids. But congratulations to St. Mary's, I think, something like that, Florida, Lake Mary, Florida, something like that, on the Little League World Series championship. Those kids were elite. Came back down 7-5 versus Texas in the United States final. Came down from 1-0 versus Chinese Taipei. And they were a lot of fun to watch too. The celebrations, all the stuff. And that right there is why that stuff is really good for the game, because you're starting to see enjoyment out of kids in the game of baseball, which, as I stated earlier, can be super boring. And we need to get slightly away from the old school and get more into the new school, the entertaining, the engaging, the draw the 9, 10, 11-year-old kid in. Want kids to be engaged in the game of baseball, and you definitely saw that the last 2 weeks. So congratulations to Florida. Let's continue. Bo Nix has been named the Denver Broncos starting quarterback for the beginning of the 2024 season. Yeah, that deserves a high five. I mean, think about this. Just some 2.5 years ago, Bo Nix was transferring from Auburn to Oregon, and nobody really had any idea what Bo Nix was going to become at Oregon, because going into Auburn, The backstory of this dude is that his career at Auburn was quote unquote underwhelming during his 3 to 4 years there. He was a legacy at Auburn. His dad had played at Auburn. And I think sometimes you're just not ready to handle that pressure. I mean, we see it with guys 2 times the age of Bo Nix when put in a pressureful situation. You never know how guys are going to respond. So Bo Nix goes to Auburn, struggles his first few years in college, hits the portal, goes to Oregon, finds himself. And now, less than 3 years later, Bo Nix has been named the starting quarterback of the Denver Broncos after being the 12th overall pick in the draft. So, I sit here all the time, and I talk about some of the negatives that are going on in college sports, some of the problems that NIL is showing, some of the issues the transfer portal brings to the college game. But this right here is a prime example of how those resources have directly benefited a player. Joe Burrow's another example of how those resources directly benefited a player. Caleb Williams, right? Now, Caleb Williams probably could have been the number 1 overall pick staying at Oklahoma and not following Lincoln Riley. But he knew for him, the best thing to do was follow that guy because that guy has had 3 dudes drafted first overall in the National Football League at the quarterback position. And all 3 of those dudes, by the way, well, 2 of them prior to Caleb Williams are still in the league, are still starting quarterbacks. I mean, Baker's competing to be a starter. And we know Kyler Murray's supposed to be the franchise in Arizona as Caleb Williams is in Chicago. So good for Bo Nix. I think I'm going to go find this audio, but I think I might have been the highest on Bo Nix coming into this draft than any quarterback. Now, I think this quarterback class you're going to look back on and is going to be one of the elite all time. I didn't believe that during the draft, but then again, it takes time to learn, takes time to understand who these quarterbacks are and who these dudes are. Speaking of college football, let's stay there for a second so we can talk about the newly formatted college football playoff. All right, so because the dudes at 12ouncesports.com are so elite, we are broadcasting on this really cool new system. Okay, so we can do different things. We can put little things on the bottom, like asking you questions. I can put pictures up on here. So the more, I was about to be not even be English. The better, I was about to say the more better I get at this, not English. The better I get at this thing, the more I can hopefully show the people that are watching live. So for those that don't know, the college football playoff expanded this year from 4 teams to 12. Yeah, that's just the NCAA right there. Like there's no middle ground. We finally had a playoff. Let's do 4 teams. Everyone hates it because 6 teams are getting screwed every year. So you know what? Let's go to 12. We'll go to 12 because I don't think anyone really believes the 13th deserves in. So that's what college football did. I'm going to pop it up on the screen right here. So this is the new format for the college football playoff. Okay. If you're wondering, the numbers might be a little small on there. So here is the breakdown. The 5 highest ranked conference champions will be seeded 1 through 5. So essentially the Power 4 conferences and somebody from that group of 5 conferences that is then the highest ranked team. So those are seeds 1 through 5. Then seeds 6 through 12 will just be the next highest remaining ranked teams. So there could be a scenario like Florida State last year still. Now, it's not going to happen with a Power 4 school, but it could happen. Coastal Carolina could go out and win their conference, but certain things don't line up that they're still ranked number 13 when all is said and done. 1, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, conference champs. You see what I'm trying to say. So one thing to get across here is, and that's in any sport, any bracket style tournament, there's always a way to say, oh, but that team, but this team. That's the point of having a tournament, because that is the excitement. That's the drama. So 12-team tournament, 5 highest ranked conference champions, 6 through 12 are the next highest ranked teams. However, that 5th ranked conference champion team, they do not get a first round bye. Seeds 1 through 4 get a first round bye. And that's when you're looking at the bracket here, you can see that extended 4-game pod on the outside. 5 plays 12, 6 plays 11, right? You see that on the outside. 7 plays 10, 8 plays 9. And then those games feed into the highest seeds who get a first round bye. So this is the new format for the college football playoff. I love it. I want to know your thoughts. You can see the question on the bottom. Let me know your thoughts on the new college football playoff, okay? You can comment anywhere the show is being broadcast live, obviously. Then you know you have our Twitter, our Instagram. The Gmail is theromeshow1@gmail.com. It's all consistent everywhere. So it makes your life easy. But I'd love to know your thoughts on the new version of the college football playoff because I love it. I love it. I don't love it for the Power 4 schools. I don't love it for what happened to Florida State last year. I don't love it for any of those reasons. I love the new college football playoff format because I love the Power not 4 schools, the not Power 4 schools. There you go. I like the not Power 4 schools. Those to me are the schools that get the most screwed in this scenario. And I understand, right? I get it from a quote unquote strength of schedule standpoint. I get that. Okay. But my argument back is you can only do with what the resources are in front of you. So if I want to try and play Alabama or Oklahoma or Texas or Baylor or USC or UCLA, and none of these schools want to play me because I'm McNeese State or I'm Boise State or I'm Wyoming, but maybe I have a Josh Allen, right? Maybe I have a linebacker or a somebody that's like a possible top 15 pick. I mean, it's everywhere. Zach Wilson, BYU. If those schools don't want to play you and you build a schedule and go 13-0 and you win your conference, but you can't get ranked higher than like 10 or 11 because there's no respect on your quote unquote strength of schedule. Well, now this gives that team a chance to be able to prove their worth. You think back to UCF a bunch of years back where they went undefeated and they hung some stupid banner in their football facility that was like co-national champion or something stupid like that. No, you didn't win the Natty. I'm sorry you went 14-0 and you didn't get into the national championship game. Do I disagree with that also? No. But that was the time period. I'm sure the BCS back in the day that only brought 2 teams, there was no playoff at all. I'm sure the BCS back in the day really, really screwed up some things. There could be so many different national champions across the history of time if you had a bracket style play in. But now we get the chance to really have the opportunity for a Cinderella run. And I think right before we get on this commercial break here, I think that's what we're all looking for. That's why we love the NCAA tournament in March when it comes to basketball. It's less about the Blue Bloods. It's more about the underdog. We want to see the FDU, the St. Peter's, the George Mason. That's what we want to see. That's why we tune in. So now we expand the college football playoff to 12 teams, and we could possibly do that. Is it highly likely in this sport comparative? No. Okay, because there are most likely 3 teams from the SEC that aren't the conference champion, 3 teams from the Big Ten that aren't the conference champion, 3 teams from the ACC that aren't the conference champion that you could legitimately probably say are going to find their way to fight their way in, right? But we want the underdog story. We want that. That's fun for us. And now this gives us the chance. The last cool part of it is at the end of the day, the whole season matters now. It's no longer a gotta go undefeated. Oh, we lost 1 game in week 4. Our chances of winning a natty are over. Nope. That's the best part. Worry about winning your conference championship and you can get into the tournament. And that now is what makes the college football season even more exciting. See, I think it's less exciting when a team has to win almost pretty much be undefeated. I think it's less exciting. You might say, what? That's crazy. No, because that's stupid to me. I like the fight. I mean, think about the Mets right now. Imagine if the rule was if you ever reach under 10 games under 500, you're out. You can never make the postseason. It's like, okay, well, the Mets wouldn't be able to try and make this run right now. You know, those things, sometimes the rules prior prevented you from some of these exciting fun stories, which I believe the new college football playoff will present us. So we will see the Rome Show 1, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, X, the Gmail, whatever it is, get at us. We'd love to know your thoughts on that. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to bounce back. I got some Major League Baseball for you, and I want to run through a few fantasy football tight end options in our top 3 choices here, because I know everybody is getting ready for that old fantasy football drafts coming up. So let's get you ready here on the Rome Show. Back after this commercial break, 12ouncesports.com, Dingo TV, channel 217.
Need tickets to that next event? Well, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got them with soccer anywhere in the world. Tickets to any venue, any sport. Want to go to NCAA or NFL football matches? We've got them.
Yeah.
Baseball at every level. Every Power 5 matchup is available. Don't forget, costumes and paint are optional. What's that? You want to go to Broadway? We have those too. Want to jam out? Every concert, every artist. That's right. At 12 Ounce Sports, we've got the tickets for less. 12ozsports.com/tickets. That's 12ouncesports.com/tickets.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money, and we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
Yeah. Rome Show here. 12ouncesports.com, Dingo TV, channel 217. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, The Rome Show 1. The Rome Show Podcast, The Rome Show Shop.com, 12ouncesports.com, all the things. Visit them. Have some fun with it. Support the show. Let's continue on this journey together. It's a Monday. Don't feel like it in this studio, and I hope that's the same for you. Teams in Major League Baseball don't have time to be waking up on Monday saying, oh, it's Monday, I'm tired for work week this week. Because you know what that might mean? You ain't making the postseason. So I'm going to pop up on the screen here for the people the standings in Major League Baseball. Right now, we got the NL standings on the screen. Not much is going to change here in 2 of these 3 divisions, I think, for the most part, unless you see a historic New York Mets 08 Phillies collapse, okay? But I don't think that's going to happen. The Phillies are up by 6 games on the Braves in the NL East. They've started to right their ship again. I think every team, I say this all the time in Major League Baseball, is going to go through their ups and downs, but 60-60, win 60, lose 60, 42 remaining. And I think you saw some of the streaks from the Braves and the Phillies. It's going to make it tough for the Mets to come back and even come close to winning this division. I think the Braves might have a chance, but the Phillies would have to collapse. The Brewers have a handle on the Central, up by 10. I find this interesting. Council went to the Cubs, left the Brewers. Now they're slightly better. So that's interesting. And then down here, the NL West is your opportunity because the Diamondbacks are streaking. Quick little side nugget on the Daily Bananas. Take the Diamondbacks versus everybody right now because they're playing very well. I think they've won 6 straight, 7-3 in their last 10, and are really putting the pressure on the Dodgers, who are a good team, Both teams are going to make the postseason. The Diamondbacks went to the World Series last year, so a fun race finishing up there. And then let's go to the AL here. The Yankees and the Baltimore Orioles are having the most exciting race, in my opinion, in Major League Baseball. The AL East has long been one of the best divisions in baseball. Right now, you have the Yankees and the Orioles split by 1.5 games. About a month ago, that was flipped, and it's going to keep going back and forth. Each team righting their ships, hopefully, to where they most likely are the last month and change of the season. The Red Sox have just hung around there, but 4-6 in their last 10, lost 3 in a row is a tough place to be. So they're fighting and hanging on by a thread. The other two are probably out. The Central, interesting. We all knew the Twins would be good. The Royals are playing above their head. This could be one of the most interesting divisions in baseball because despite having the worst team in Major League Baseball history, literally second fastest to 100 losses, the other 4 teams are playing phenomenal. This might be the only division in baseball where 4 of 5 teams finish over 500. A large part to the Detroit Tigers playing really, really well recently, but at the end of the day, that's interesting. So if you can just chop the White Sox out of there, that would be legitimately the most fun conference to watch, still is, even with them in it. And then you go to the West, you got to think about what the Houston Astros have done. I think they started 19-36, and now, as you see on the screen, they are not that, 70-60, leading this division 4.5. The Mariners fired their manager last week. So at the end of the day, even though it's only a 4.5 game lead, I do believe that the Astros win this. Let's pop the wild card up real quick. We'll go back to the NL. So you see right there how important the West is, right? Because if you don't win the West, you have to take the wild card right there, which makes your path to the World Series a whole lot different. And then you also see how good the West is because they have 3 teams currently in the postseason. If the season ended today, the NL East only has 1, yet the next 2 teams are of NL East ilk, the Mets and the Braves. So those 2 divisions are most likely going to bring you the 3 wild cards. Okay. Right now, 1 from the East, 2 from the West, and then the Mets, the Giants, and the Cardinals fighting there to try and knock off the Bravos. Let's go to the AL wild card. Okay. We got the Baltimore Orioles now, and that's the crazy thing, right? You see 2 divisions on each side that could potentially have 3 teams in the postseason with that 3rd wild card being added, but that's also just how good the division is. Like, so the Royals and the Twins are all in the postseason right now alongside the Guardians. That'll just show you Orioles have the lead. This is an exciting race. All right. But now that the Red Sox have lost 3 straight, it's kind of faltered to the point of can they get back? Seattle's probably out of it. But the Royals, the Twins, and the Orioles, alongside the Yankees and that 5 or 6 Masha teams is going to be very interesting to see who finishes in the 3 wild card and who takes those 2 divisions and who might end up out, depending on what happens. So that's your update in Major League Baseball. I'll tell you what, it's time. It's time, and it's exciting, and there's a lot of good teams, a lot of fun baseball to be watched. Like that Royals team, watch them. Very, very exciting. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to save my tight ends and my sleeper fantasy for tomorrow's show. Okay. So you got to tune in Tuesday, 7 a.m. We'll start with fantasy football on deck. I'll make sure we get there. Okay. So because of that, let's just finish with some daily bananas so people can hopefully put some extra fruits in their pocket tonight. Just so we're aware, Andrew has moved to a 70-54 record on the daily bananas. Going 2-1 on Friday of last week. I mean, I'm essentially 8-2 of my last 10 picks. So you got to get on this train while it's hot, okay? We picked the Blue Jays over the Angels. We got that. We picked the Yankees over the Rockies. We got that. But we also took the Yankees and the Rockies over 9, and we did not get that. So it was a 2-1 day on Friday. 70-54 is the record. I would like to take the Detroit Tigers over the Chicago White Sox today. I'm not going to take the money line, though. I'm going to take the cream cheese spread -1.5. The Chicago White Sox are the worst team in baseball, like I said, in history of time. But right now, Detroit playing really, really well in their last 20 games. I want to ride that train. Give me that victory -1.5. And then I got the R Sox, that is the Red Sox, over the Blue Jays. Give me that money line. Why am I doing that? Because the Red Sox are 52-40 this season when facing a starting pitcher that is right right-handed. That is right. And the Blue Jays are starting a right-handed pitcher tonight. So I want to take those odds. And besides, the Red Sox are losers of 3 straight. I think they need to right this ship. No better time to do it than a 500, perfectly 500 Blue Jays team that you're going to play. So to finish up your daily picks today, bananas that is, I got Detroit minus 1.5 over Chicago, and I got Boston M-line over the Jays. That is the Rome Show today. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed it. I sure as hell enjoyed it. We'll be back tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Tight ends, fantasy sleepers, and so many more sports. Andrew Romanella saying peace.
Thank you for listening.